What I would like to start, how many people do we have here in the room who are surfers? Anybody? Nobody surfing? Oh, good, very good. How long does it take to ride such a wave? Probably sometimes never. But with AI, it is similar. You have to be very careful. You start training now, otherwise, this is going to happen. Yeah? And there's a big likelihood that if you miss the AI wave, that you get whitewashed. And it's a lot of training, I tell you, to make something like that. I'm not a surfer, I'm more a kite surfer, but like this one with the big wave here. Now, if you look at technology disruptions, and who remembers when the first iPhone came out? 2007, this is just 17 years ago. Imagine if you look back 20 years, and now it's natural. You don't think about it, and you thought you have it forever. The same thing is now happening with Gen AI and AI. AI is more than 40 years old. But what changed is with ChatGPT being available for every consumer, they achieved in just 5 days 1 million users. It's massive. And all the changes you see here when the internet came, cloud, mobile, and also Gen AI, the user experience of end consumers was driving the change in the industry. And honestly, I'm really, really excited about the possibilities. Now, if you look at projects, and there are many studies around that you can look at, about 70% of the transformation projects are not successful. Why? Because very often we focus on technology, and the most important dimension is missing. Focusing on people. And you heard a great presentation this morning also about leadership and how important leadership is. Same direction. And we just talked in the afternoon about, if you look back 2-3 years ago, this people topic was not so prominent, and the experience topic. It's getting more and more important. I'm really excited about this. The more people talk about it. And this is really the changing factor. I tell you an example, a very concrete customer project we did. It was a customer, they have these big boilers, and they have people that clean the boilers regularly. And this was during the beginning of the mobile times. They built a mobile team in IT. And the people who clean these boilers, they have to fill out 8 pages of document. And the mobile team said, oh, cool, we know iPhone, let's build PDF entry on the iPhone. They said, whoa, guys, before you start developing, can we just go for 2 hours into the factory and observe how the people work? We know how they work. Okay, let's do it. What we observed, the person who's doing it came out of the thing black, and had big gloves. That means iPhone, wrong device. And the second thing, when we looked at the data of these 8 pages of document, 95% of the fields were available in the system. The solution was a mobile app with 5 fields. Imagine if they would have developed this app, how much this would have been costed. And I tell you, none of these people would have used the solution. What a waste of money. And just going for 2 hours to the end user changed the game. This was in the early times of mobile. The same thing is happening now. The same thing. And I tell you, in 3-4 years, there will not AI, there will be a new technology that is going to solve all problems in the world, and we will again be here and we talk the same story. Now, Gen AI, I think it's important. My team did lots of, last 2 years, lots of AI, Gen AI project with customers, about 70 to 80 of these workshops. And the interesting thing is, for everybody is interested, but many people don't really understand what it is. There are amazing things what you can do, but there are things that you cannot do. And you have to understand and learn what the capabilities are. Do we all already see where the future is getting? I don't think so. Most people don't see the potential, but I tell you, it's unbelievable. Just recently, a colleague of mine, he took a video of him presenting 5 minutes. The model needs 5 minutes of you presenting. And then he created a script in German and said to the tool, said, please create a video in Spanish with following script. You did not see the difference. Unbelievable. Yeah? And I think this is just the beginning. Now, what is now different? If you look at cloud, who was really impacted? Honestly, the end user got a URL. Yeah? If you look at blockchain, few people were impacted. With AI, everybody will be impacted, everybody. And I even did a couple of months ago a workshop with executives from other companies where we talked about the role of Gen AI for leadership and management. I thought about, okay, my role as an executive is, okay, I know the company, I know with whom to talk and connect the people in the team to the different organizations. And then somebody said, you know what? The data is all there. People know where to go. You know, the system knows who the goals are, who's working on what, and the machine can recommend to the employee without me whom to reach out. This means the future role of leaders, not just the typical management tasks, this will be done by the system, and even better, because the AI speaks the language that you understand, because most times the problem you have in communication that the employee talks a different language that the manager talks, and I think this is something to really start thinking about. And this will impact every role within the organization. Yeah? If you go back in IT, in human resources, many examples where you can leverage AI and Gen AI capability. I'll tell you about my personal experience. A couple of months ago, I posted a job for a manager in my team, and there were lots of applicants, and the recruiter was very excited. We have a very cool new feature in our internal tool. And he said, you just have to select the applicant, say what kind of meeting you want to do with Teams, and the system schedules automatically a meeting for you, and there's a follow-up. And say, whoa, I don't want that the machine controls my calendar. I'm not going to use this feature. That means he liked it because there's nothing else than doing this. Why do I tell you the story? Because it's important. Probably if I would have known what the benefits are of it and I would have been introduced to it, then I would have been used to it. But you need to involve the end users. I just don't use it. Yeah? And now there's really a high probability to fail with your AI projects if you don't involve the end users, the people who use the solutions later on. And now talking about the AppHaus, and somebody asked me that, Andreas, is AppHaus coming from Andreas Hauser, for my last name? No, it's just by accident. My nickname is AppHauser, but it comes from Bauhaus. It's German design. It's really about the design, simplicity of design. This is where it came from. And what we do, we run customer projects on latest technologies and develop also new methods in a human-centered way. That means we involve the end users in the process from the beginning on, make innovation real. I tell you, this is not rocket science at all. It's pretty simple. But we don't do this in our industry. And our vision is we need to do this in all customer projects. That's our passion. What does this mean in the SAP context? 400,000 customers, 20,000 partners, 40,000 people in the SAP field organization, and for sure, many talk technology products. Now my question is, my thought was, okay, how can we change the system? I mean, also, if I would have 1,000 employees, I could not serve 400,000 customers. This means we started building up a franchising model. It's called AppHaus Network. These are partners like LeverX, one of our really exciting and amazing partners, and all these partners have the same DNA. They have a cool creative space, they apply a human-centered approach, they make innovation real with SAP technologies, create customer references, and they are all over the world. We just recently opened in Japan, now Buenos Aires, because you need to understand the culture of the people. You need to talk the language of the people. And now the cool thing of this model is that these are typically more smaller partners, I think, compared with an Accenture and with the big ones, and they're very agile. Yeah? And even now there are cases where they work together. It's a little bit more modern model of organizational setup. Now, this human-centered approach, I tell you, is very simple. We combine design thinking with architecture thinking. Because very often design thinking is used to create post-its. People think, oh, it's a cool workshop, we do post-its, but nothing happens. Important is, in our context of SAP, you have to make it real in a complex customer environment. And some of our customers have 400 SAP systems to run the show, and even lots of non-SAP systems. And this is the art. To take a use case, and this is how it works in Explore, you identify a use case that creates a high value, and I tell you the eye-opening moment on the customer side is when IT, business, and the end users are the first time in one room, physical or virtual. Typically, the first time they talk with each other. And then you identify a use case, you step into the shoes in Discover of the end user. If it's just a couple of hours, in design, you create mock-ups, you visualize. And what I learned, a picture says more than 1,000 words. You see lots of PowerPoints with boxes and arrows and architectural diagrams. If you draw a screen, a manager understands, a developer understands, the end user, and that's the language that people understand. It's simple, but it's really difficult to change the way of working. And I tell you, if you change a button on a screen that you just delete, it's much cheaper than building the software for half a year and later on correcting it. Yeah? And then it's about delivering, running, and scaling. That's the approach. Others call it differently. Others have 6 steps, whatever, but fundamentally it's always the same. It's iterating fast, making it real. But the process is only one thing. All partners that we engage with have these key enablers of innovation. They apply human-centered approach, focus on people, business, technology, design. The place has an impact, leadership, and technology. Let's deep dive into this. The process I talked about, if you look at people, and it was really nice this morning also in the presentation about leadership, she started with business and technology, and later on added how important this human part is. Yeah? And we talk too much always just about business and technology. You need to include. It's very essential that you talk business technology, but don't forget the human part. And the kind of skills that you typically have are design thinking, design skills, user research skills. I would say in general people who are empathic, who have empathy of understanding what the real needs are. Not just do what the end user tells you. Listen, map this with the technical capabilities, and then come to the joint solution. The second thing is the space. And the space has a huge impact on creativity. We have here some pictures from our AppHaus in Heidelberg. Last week, we reopened the space in Palo Alto. LeverX has great spaces also. And I think it also has a big impact. You know, during the pandemic, nobody was there. But now people love to get back, love to get into a creative environment or even do a hybrid setup. But the space where people work has a huge impact also on creativity. And for sure, technology as an enabler. And what the focus is of our team, the AppHaus team, is typically focusing on the 20% cases of the customers. They buy our standard products. They are beautifully designed for beautiful processes. They try to get it running, but they're always 20% where the customer wants to differentiate and innovate fast. And in this case, we use the business technology platform to extend, to integrate, to do analytics on top of it, to use artificial intelligence, and I think that's the core of the platform as we do, and Sergey is talking a little bit about this later on a little bit more in detail. Now, another element I want to talk about is about leadership, and I really liked the presentation this morning. it is not anymore about the top-down leadership. You are too slow. I think if you have a huge organization and if you need to empower employees, you need to be innovative as an organization, that means the central model is very difficult. You are too slow. And she showed it very nicely in her presentation what the key criteria are of leadership. And this also when we select partners. This was the reason why we also selected LeverX, because the leadership of the organization is really fostering innovation, very human, empowering employees, and with this, driving really success. Now, let me tell you two stories. One is Daimler. We did something really interesting. It was a couple of years ago, but I liked the story. And it was they wanted to become more creative as an organization. And what we did, they appointed passionate people in multiple business areas, 8 people, and they got 20% of their time from our different areas. And we did awareness sessions with 1,500 Daimler employees on design thinking in this nice building. This is the building from the German Touring Championship show, just right beside the canteen at Daimler in Germany. It was a little bit like in a zoo where all the Post-its were inside. But what happened, this was driving a change in the organization. Meanwhile, this is a team of 10 full-time employees reporting to the CIO who drive the change in the organization. Later on, they came up building up a design thinking truck, also going to their subsidiaries. And that's an example, and for sure, they built innovations also with SAP technology and even non-SAP technology. The other example I like is Rolls-Royce MTU, and they built these big ship motors. Now the CEO wanted to transform the organization to become a service organization. What they did, they built a chief digital officer with a team of 90 people in parallel to the CIO, and they hired 10 design thinking coaches. That means we enabled them, we had them build a creative space. They didn't call it design thinking, they called it agile, but however, the name is not really important. But they used this methodology to help their transformation. After 2 years, the chief digital officer became the CIO. Now, why do I tell you these stories? When I talk about design thinking and empathy, these are organizations who really try to involve the employees in the transformational change. For sure, technology is really, really important, no question, but don't get me wrong. The business impact is important, but if you add the third element, I'm really so convinced, because we did more than 1,000 customer reports, that you're more successful as an organization. Now, I told you about our big vision, getting this to all customers, and also with our AppHaus network partners, with about 20,000 employees. We are not able to serve all 400,000 customers. And I tell you, some of our big customers, they have thousands of people in IT who build user interfaces with our technology. And I'm happy if they look at, go to our AppHaus Innovation Toolkit, take some of our methods and decide going 2 hours into the factory, look how people work, they do the project already 20% better. That means we democratize human-centered innovation by making all our methods available for free. And the recent one, probably interesting now in the current times, we created a Business AI Explore workshop format, and you see a couple of these cards. There are probably 9 different patterns what you can do with Gen AI. Workshop format is for free. It's a mural template with an agenda, with best practices. You can print out use case templates. Just try it out. And I know LeverX and also we are very happy to even do this kind of workshop with you. If you're interested, we did one yesterday. I think it was very, very, very exciting with probably 20, 25 customers. Yeah, try it out. Involve the business into this game from the beginning on. Take a use case which has a high value and it's easy to achieve, and then learn. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah? Trying things out, learning, building up a learning culture, and seeing how far you're getting. And last year, the AppHaus, the 10th anniversary, and I had the honor talking with Tim Brown. Tim Brown is one of the two founders of IDEO, and IDEO brought 20 years ago design thinking into the business world. Now, the SAP story is, in 2004, Hasso Plattner, one of our founders, was reading an article from IDEO about design thinking before he went on stage at Sapphire. And honestly, you cannot control when he goes on stage. But he said, SAP now does design thinking. And we asked him, why did he do this? And he said, it remembered him how they started the company. He said, I was a developer sitting right beside the user. I was iterating. It wasn't called design thinking. And at the time, we unlearned how to do this. And this is how the big wave within SAP started with design thinking. We started in development, and 11 years ago, we started engaging now with customers and users. And the biggest honor we could get is from him, a quote that, congratulations, all your competitors tried, you succeeded. Getting this quote from somebody who really brought design thinking 20 years ago in the business world was the biggest honor that we could get. Now, my recommendation is start learning now. Try out GenAI, give it to employees, let them experience it, involve them, leverage the BTP. There are great possibilities already available. Try out this human-centered approach. It's not rocket science. And it's even fun. Yeah? It's even fun if you do this together with the people, because they are encouraged. For sure, if you involve them, they would be happy that someone gets implemented. But the probability of success is much higher. And last one is leverage LeverX for your transformation. Really a great company, lots of experience here, also with this human-centered approach, with technology, latest technologies. Yeah, and I think concluding with this slide, learning how to ride a wave takes time. Yeah? Probably some people will never ever ride this kind of wave, but it's a symbol for you, encouraging you, starting with the AI wave now, learn, leverage LeverX for doing this, lever us at SAP, helping you on that journey. It's an exciting future.